Hi guys, and welcome to yet another review. This time around I'm bringing you something special. I'm bringing you something from a brand called Air Acoustics. They are a new brand, although they are in essence the continuation of a brand known as TFZ and Super TFZ. So what that all means is that they have at least 10, 11 years of experience behind them on the one hand, and on the other hand, what we are getting is an evolution of some of the products that TFZ and Super TFZ already had, which mind you were interesting products, although maybe directioned or focused on a specific crowd of people. TFZ is a brand that obviously with the experience that it has and being one of the older brands available from the tri-fi market, it established itself early on, and it was one of the brands that I created some affinity with because I just enjoyed the way that their tuning was done. It was always very much a V-shaped tuning, but it was a V-shaped tuning where that colored aspect of the sound was always nicely obtained. You either had a little bit more bass or you either had a little bit more treble, but they always kind of made it work. It is what it is. Of course, that doesn't mean that everybody will like it. The majority of people will always be pending or will always, be more conducive with the Harman style of tuning. But the reality is, TFZ did know what to do, and if there is any fault that we can maybe point at them, is that they perhaps got too stuck in that specific style and did not diversify enough to maintain, let's say, the interest on a wider variety of people. Anyway, before I just carry on here with the review and talk here in more detail, obviously, about this IEM from Air Acoustics, which I will tell you now. I just wanted to say that I've received some feedback from you guys telling me, Tony, you should improve on this aspect, improve on that, don't do this, don't do that. And as well, I've also received some negative feedback to which I've paid not so much attention. But anyway, all of this to say what? That I'm going to be trying to do things in a more improved manner, be a little bit more structured in my reviews. And this one will be the first one, so bear with me. I hope that it doesn't become too heavy or doesn't become excessively long like I sometimes unfortunately do the reviews, but I will maintain that my style, which is mega reviews with loads of IEMs. However, I will just try and give a more structured approach to things, a more clean approach to things, so that you guys, or the majority of guys, or all of you, can exactly understand what I'm talking about. All right. Anyway, getting back here to the review, Air Acoustics, like I said, this is the box that it comes in, the IEM. Okay, it's known as the Silver Angel. All right, they've got the SPA series, which is what I have here, and I've got here the high-end Max, which is their almost flagship single DD. Air Acoustic also has then a second line of IEMs, which are dual DDs with several options or configurations of those dual DDs, in the sense that there are changes made to the actual diaphragm material. So, it will be a more conventional diaphragm material, just a PET, or then you will get a titanium, or you'll get a beryllium, or you'll get, there's changes in that aspect. With regards here to the high-end Max, which, like I said, it's their, let's say, second down in their flagship status. The flagship is the limited edition, which, from what I understand, is not that significantly different to this. I think it's just basically is the fact that it's a limited edition that it confers it that status of flagship. They all basically, in essence, use a variation of this 11.4 millimeter driver, which has been around for a number of years. It's a driver which, when it initially came out, it was the first, or one of the first, to introduce in its various evolutions things such as a dual chamber, things such as the dual magnetic system, and all of these was in an attempt to improve the flux density of the actual driver itself, and by improving that flux density, improving the control that was bestowed upon the diaphragm, and by doing that, of course, you have lower distortion levels, you have better sound quality, blah 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 blah. Anyway, this is the latest variation of that driver. It's the titanium in this particular, it's got a titanium covered diaphragm in this particular case, with a separate or with an adjacent surround. So it kind of what they followed here is kind of the technology that you see in more conventional speakers. While most IEM drivers are usually the surround and the actual cone, let's put it that way, are all pressed as one single piece. Here there's there's a difference between the surround and the actual, let's say, cone section of the diaphragm or of the driver. Obviously, that then does mean that the driver will be a little bit more expensive than a conventional driver, but it also helps with improving the performance and what you can extract from the actual IEM. In terms of, I'm not going to delve too much here with regards to the unboxing, but it's a nice box, a nice presentation. Kind of reminds me of the presentation that we used to get, or that we get in the Tanstrom Oxygen and in the HANA 2021. That square, perfect cube. Internally, plenty of tips. The selection is perfect. If anything is to be pointed with regards to the selection of tips, is that they are a little bit on the soft side in the exterior of the tip. Let me just grab here one so you can see what I mean. Okay, this is one set of tips. They've got some wide bores and some narrow bores, and the actual outside of the tip, this section, as you can see, is very soft. And what that means is if you have if you're not careful with the way that the IEM is sitting in your ear canal, it can break seal, and if it breaks seal, obviously the performance, especially in the bass, is affected by that. Cable, it's a nice cable. This is the stock cable. I mean, this is an IEM that does cost $289, so I would sure as hell expect a nice quality cable. So it's got a nice quality cable, and then the actual quality of the IEM is flawless. I mean, there is absolutely nothing that I can point as a negative aspect. It's a beautiful metal shell. It's got this huge vent here on the side, which I've seen in previous models as well, the crown namely, and I'm assuming that vent somehow internally is a helmet resonator, which is a system used to tune IEMs to confer them a better bass performance, while at the same time doing away with unwanted resonances. So I'm sure that this vent here, somehow, that's what it's doing. That's why it's so large, as you guys can see. The faceplates have got this blingy appeal to them. You either like them or you don't like, but honestly, I like it because it looks nice. It's a little bit over the top, I'm not going to deny it, but it just looks nice. It just confers it a very type of jewelry effect. And I actually was surprised, because when I took them out to listen to them, and I was doing some shopping, some grocery shopping, I had two people actually asked me what it was that I had in my ears, because they were, and I saw them looking and asking me what it was, and then I told them it's earphones, and they themselves said, wow, they look really nice. So it is eye-catching. Okay, the fit is flawless. It is a somewhat big shell for a single ED, okay, but it's got this kind of very much custom design to it, and it fits, at least in my ears, flawlessly. The one thing here which has changed with regards to some of the other models is that the nozzle is now one single piece with regards with the actual shell, while in some of the previous models that were part of the TFZ lineup, the nozzle was actually separate. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is that here I didn't have any issue with the fit, but I did enjoy that fact that the nozzle was separate, because it did confer the TFZ IEMs, especially the ones that I have here, a deeper fit into the ear canal, and that deeper fit did allow for overall a better sound. Okay, the TFZ sound, like I mentioned, is that very much V-shaped sound, but if you're able to deep fit it, you can kind of balance things out better. Here, although the nozzle is not separate, it's still reasonably long, and it does allow still for a nice deep fit because of the way that the nozzle and the actual section of the shell is designed. It will fit nicely, at least in my ear canal. As I mentioned, it uses the 11.4 millimeter driver, and that's basically, there's not really much more that I can say. Nice tips, nice accessories selection, good cable. It brings a really nice case as well, by the way. My apologies, I was forgetting to mention it. Okay, so nice cable, nice case, good selection of tips, flawless build quality. Yes, $289 is serious money, but this is a flagship product, so you have to give people what they are expecting. Okay. So That's the high-end Max. Now, what do I have here to kind of set the stage and for you guys to understand better what the high-end Max is in terms of sound? I've got here the LiveX, which was again a single DD from the more higher end price bracket of TFC from a couple of years ago. I've got here the infamous number 3. This is probably the most famous single DD that they made from previous years, and it was so competent that I, in my opinion, even think that it was a better IM than the King, than the Queen, and a few other models that TFC love, and it had a price of around, well, it started out at around $80, and then it escalated slightly up to about 100 and something. And then there was a special version, which was the titanium, which was an all-metal shell as opposed to the resin, which is the case of this limited edition one, which was more expensive. But the bass tuning was always the same. So I've got here the number 3, and I've got here from the Super TFC's lineup of last year, the Crown. Okay, the Crown also has that crazy big vent. There you go. Okay, as you can see. So I'm assuming again it must be some type of resonance circuitry inside to help out with the performance. But it also has these this little switch here, which improves that area there of around 4, let's say 4 to 7K. It gives it a little bit of a boost. And it's got the actual crossover components as well, which the IM has as well there on the faceplate. It's got very much this Art Deco design, also metal shell, as you guys can see. Really nice IM. Honestly, a really nice IM. Okay, let's make this perfectly clear. All of these IMs, especially the older ones, especially the LiveX, the number 3, and the Crown, are colored IMs, okay, with various degrees, and when I show you the graphs you'll understand, with various degrees of balance between the bass and then the upper mids and treble, okay, but they're all colored. The one that I personally think is the best of these older ones, and it made sense that it ultimately ended up being that way, is the Crown. Why? Because that balance was struck in a manner where you had an excellent amount of bass performance, but that bass performance was then given the necessary mids, upper mids, and treble to make things sound lively, have a nice organic feel, and never feel perhaps overly dark like they can sometimes feel on the LiveX. The LiveX can, on occasions, come across as being overly emphasized in the bass, and I'm actually trying to see where I've got the graph. Yeah, exactly. It can, well, it's definitely the one that has the most bass out of all of these. Okay, but that bass energy was such that it kind of just made for a very heavy sound. Bass-wise, it wasn't the ideal if what you were looking for was clarity in the mids, especially in the female vocals. Okay, so the number 3 has always had a nice balance, and that balance obviously was the reason why it was so successful, and it didn't really matter which version you got in terms of the finish. Was it the clear version? Was it this limited edition 10th anniversary? Was it the titanium? It always had a nice balance, although it was also slightly skewed to being a little bit more on the warmer side, but not as bad as on the case of the LiveX. Then when they came out with the Crown, and I'm trying to see, let me just get here the Crown now. When they came out with the Crown, exactly, number 12. There we go. When they came out with the Crown, they in essence gave the Crown the bass level, okay, of the number 3, okay, and because you have that switch in the faceplate, which allows for you to give that little extra boost to the upper mids and treble. What happens is it just gives that necessary openness to the sound, which makes then the Crown sound the best out of these older models. It just has that extra amount of energy, just opens up everything, especially on the female vocals. Okay, none of these models, especially the TFC number 3 and the Crown, lack anything in terms of musicality or anything of the sort. No, this, because of the bass being that extra amount energized, it just maybe makes for a musical presentation that with certain genres can just be overpowering and ultimately tiring. The same way as if you have an IM which has got too much energy in the upper mids and treble, it can become fatiguing. Here we have the same problem, but down to the fact that the lower registers are just too overly done. With the HPA, what's the HPA? My apologies. With the high-end Max, what they have done is polished up the crown, okay, by doing what? They've taken the crown's basic bass performance. I mean, honestly, I didn't see any real difference between the bass performance of the two, other than that a slight roll off here on the high-end Max from around 40 hertz down. There's a slight roll off, but it can be just a unit related thing, although the graph that was provided with the IM does show that slight roll off, so that part there is correct. And then what it does is it further gives it a little bit extra energy there between that 2.5 and 7K area, and that extra amount of energy and the balance that they've struck between the two extremes of the frequency is what then makes the listening experience of the high-end Max be so special. Okay, that's the reality. And I've already jumped ahead a little bit. Bass is incredible, clean, organic, old school type of bass. It's got weight. It's clean. Where you can just on that, the cleanliness of the bass is enough for you to straight away see how high quality the driver is. It's a clean, impactful bass. It resolves complex tracks easily. There's no one note bass kind of thing. It's got all the necessary hardware to make and give a clean presentation. Mids. And the transition into the mids, flawless. There's no overpowering. There's no carrying over too much energy and muffling the mids. Male, female vocals come across. Spotless. I mean, honestly, really, it's my kind of sound. It very much was reminding me of kind of a Tanstrom Origin, and FD15, FIO FD15 kind of performance, very much. And this is what exactly is the magic, I think, that TFZ and now EarAcoustic has been able to once again hit the nail on the head. It's that they obviously, with some models are an exception, but TFZ has always been able to take a signature or a tuning style which by today's standards obviously will be considered, it's going to sound horrible because it's too V-shaped. But they are able to take that let's say more unconventional approach to tuning and make it sound musical and engaging and satisfying. That's the magic here. That's the thing here that really captivates you. And the EarAcoustic does that flawlessly. Okay, if you ask me, so Tony, but tell me, is it the best for ultimate audiophile listening? Maybe for ultimate audiophile listening, you will find other IMs that might just edge out slightly the Silver Angel. I'm not going to deny it, but it's all about a balance of doing the most things correct. And yes, it is an IM that, in my view and my takes and of these days that I've been listening to it, not only does it play, and that's not only is it capable of an audiophile presentation, and that more melodic jazz that I like listening to, as it also is capable of taking the more EDM style of music, the more electronic dance music that I like listening to, and giving it the necessary engagement and fun that I like, and doing all of this without becoming fatiguing, and always doing things in a manner where I'm surprised. And that's where, it again captivates me. It again kind of grabs me, because there are plenty of IMs that, okay, you can listen to them, you can see that they are sounding good and so on, but then the song doesn't sound so good, and then honestly, and I'm being dead honest, and I listened to a lot of music. Trust me, I went through a whole bunch of songs when when I was listening to the HPA. Here I go again with the HPA, with the high-end Max, be it things like Down with the Sickness from Disturbed, be it The Hanging Tree by James Newton Howard, be it Up to the Bat by Tyler Roche, be it Alchemy by Philip Sayce, Jack of Speed by Steely Dan, Aphrodite by Friedman, Saint James Infirmary by Stimulators. There wasn't a single song that I wasn't smiling. Consider this me chilling. Consider this me doing. I don't honestly say it. I honestly don't care. I am giving, and I'm trying to give you guys my experience. And my experience here with the high-end Max was a very surprising one. That's the reality. I was able to keep the high-end Max in my ears way longer than I was the Live X. Way longer than the number 3, and trust me, I like the number 3. The number 3 is good, but just in this Alchemy, from for example, from Philip Sayce, the difference in presentation is incredible. It's like a completely different IM. Only the Crown was able to at times almost do the same thing as the high-end Max for me. Okay, and mind you, like I said, this is a tuning style, and I'm very much a person that's open to different tuning styles as long as they are done properly. I got nothing against it. But this is a tuning style which is completely different to something like the Tangstrom Oxygen, which again, you guys know that this, for me, is one of the references when it comes to single DDs. Without a doubt, this is a reference IM. I mean, if you are serious about this game, this hobby, this is an IM that should be part of your collection. Okay, and there's plenty others. I mean, the EA 1000 from the Fermat from Simgod. Okay, maybe not an entirely fair comparison because it's two drivers. One is a passive radiator, but still another phenomenal single DD that performs incredibly well. And obviously, yes, maybe the Fermat and the Oxygen might appeal to more people, but the reality is, myself and when I have such a varied scope of single DDs. From MIM Dark Magician to FD15, seriously, when you start considering what this IM can actually do and what it costs, phenomenal. This is a phenomenal IM. Is it for everybody? No, it won't be for everybody. And that's the only thing that I have to say about the high-end Max. Is that maybe this IM might not be for everybody. But out of all these IMs which have, let's say, a different style of tuning, a different approach to how they play music when it comes to single DDs, this is definitely going to be up there with the best of them, without a question. Because they've done and they've ticked all the right boxes. Bass is quick, dynamic, clean, perfect. Mids, male and female vocals, guitars, like for example on Alchemy, the Philip Sayce. The guitar, especially there at minute, it's actually the part that's playing right now, minute 3, phenomenal. I mean, you have to listen to it to really kind of appreciate what I'm saying. It is really an incredible sounding IM. Of course, it's all going to be dependent on how it fits in your ear. Of course, it's also going to be dependent on what type of a source you have. I loved it on the Fire. I didn't like it as much on the Q50 on the M15 from Q-Style. Okay, but it's not the fault of the M15 from Q-Style. It's this matching that is necessary to be done, and that many times we unfortunately cannot do it because it involves having multiple units and costs and so on and so forth. But I can guarantee that if you listen to this one on something like the Q15 from Fire, listen to it on a Yuki, you listen to it on the RU7 from Cayenne, you will be impressed by the high-end Max. That is a guarantee. You will definitely be impressed because it is a competent IM. End of story. There's no ifs or buts or something. No, it is. Technically, just to wrap things up here now, that's where perhaps you might think to yourself, okay, at the same price, are there more competent IMs technically? Yes, especially in the soundstage. I did find the soundstage of the high-end Max just a little bit more closed down than what I was expecting. but in no way was that a deal breaker for me, because the rest was so good that I lived with it easily. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't like I didn't feel the space, the sensation of space in the songs that do have it. None of that. It was not a problem. Imaging, spot on. Detailed retrieval, micro and macro details, perfectly as well. Resolution, perfect. And all of those things down to, again, as I've said before, the quality of the driver. That's very, very, very important. The quality of the driver is of utmost importance. And you can be absolutely sure that the driver inside of this IM is a special driver. It's not a just, pump it out and be done. No, this is a special driver. And obviously, the driver being special and being a high quality driver will dictate to a certain extent the price of the IM. Again, I repeat, like I said earlier, yes, $289 is not something for everybody. It's not something that everybody can afford. But if you are able to at least try it out, go to a place maybe where you live that will maybe carry this IM and listen to it, try it. I will do my very best to actually try out the more entry-level single DD versions of this IM, because they've got some cheaper ones. They've got ones, I believe, at $99, and they've got another one at $149 or $169, one or the other. I will do my best to try those two as well, and then give you the feedback so that you guys can see, okay, maybe I can't afford that one, but what I lose to these cheaper ones is this or that. Maybe I can go for the cheaper ones. From what I have seen from their catalog, they are all having a very similar sort of build quality. Obviously, until I actually have it in my hand, I cannot say, but I will do my very best to get those items in my hand and also let you guys know. Just a quick, and I'm not going to go into a comparison, in a detailed comparison, and I'll say that, no, forget the Oxygen, you must go now get the high-end Max because that's the IM. No, these are two totally different products. That's the reality. This, in terms of Harman, is a reference. It is a phenomenal IM. It does everything in my books as well, basically the right way. There's nothing that you can point. Maybe occasionally it can be a little bit too energetic on the upper end, but Oxygen is the Oxygen. Like I said earlier, this is something that should be part of the collection of a serious hobbyist in this area. It's a side grade. That's the reality. What I've said about the Oxygen, basically, I say about the Ferment as well. Phenomenal IM as well. I've always liked it from day one. The same thing goes for the Origin. I also compared the two. If anything, I will give the Origin a slight advantage over the high-end Max in terms of the soundstage. Just a slight advantage, not much. But again, I mean, very little you can point as a negative aspect on the Origin, and the Origin does break away as well from that more typical Harman tune. Okay, and the other one, which I think and I talked about it a couple of minutes ago, which is the FD15. This is a serious IM as well, a really, really solid single DD. It just ticks all the right boxes, at least for me, and an IM which, again, I feel should be part of a collection of somebody that is serious about this. It does enough to justify its existence. And for me, for those that missed out on something like the MIM Dark Magician, this is a solid substitute at a fourth of the price of what that IM cost. Okay, as compared to the Live X, there are different styles, different approaches, and so side grades once again. So these are all look. Let me wrap it up by saying the following. I have a selection of IMs which are my top choices of single DDs. This, the high-end Max, has joined that list. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's done enough. It has got enough to justify it being part of that elite group of those single DDs, which I consider to be the ones that are different, that are really standing out. Okay. Anyway, guys, let me show you now quickly the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for the high-end Max from EarAcoustic. This is the graph, oops, my apologies. This is the graph of the high-end Max. The only difference that exists between my measurement and the measurement that comes with the actual IM is that in the measurement, in the factory measurement, this peak here at 5 kilohertz it doesn't show up. So there's basically a straight line going across. Yeah, okay. And then of course this 8K peak is a couple of related peak, but otherwise, you look at it and the graph is a very appealing graph. There's really nothing you can point as a negative aspect. When we take this 100 hertz point that I like, using as a reference, and I translate it over to the upper mids, it's over 2K, which I think is important, and there isn't much energy, so the balance of sound that is struck between the two extremes is very nice, which is something that, for example, when we take the Live X, and I'm going to show you now the Live X because this is the most extreme. Okay, the Live X is the graph I've just placed now. The bass here is really overpowering. Really overpowering. It's good, it's fun, it's engaging, great on EDM, great on those engaging tracks that want a lot of bass presence and a lot of bass weight, but it's not a clean presentation as it is on the high-end Max. The high-end Max just sounds absolutely flawless in that aspect. The bass has got the weight, it's got the impact, although by no means am I saying with that it's a bass head IM, no, but it's got all the weight necessary, but all the cleanliness necessary to then keep the mids, upper mids, and treble shining, clean, detailed, organic, engaging, and that's it. So that's the Live X, as you can see. I'm actually just going to take away the high-end Max for a second. This is the high-end Max, the Live X. The Live X, and I also had the number 3. The nice thing about the number 3, let me just change the color. I'm going to put it in black. The number 3 took a lot of that basic Live X formula, but what they did was they struck a better balance. So they lowered slightly the bass, and they cleaned things up here to obtain a more balanced signature, which is kind of similarish or more similarish, or it approximates itself more to the high-end Max. When I put the high-end Max, you can see the bass is very similar, just a little bit more energy than really in the low down, but it loses a little bit here, and then that's conferring that sound that I was talking about, of it being a little bit still overly thick at times, but not as bad as in the Live X. Okay, let me just take away the Live X. All right, now the crown then came along. The crown, as I said, it's got 2 positions of those switches. Let me take away this, and I'm going to put first the crown just with the TFC number 3, which is what we have here. The crown, you have the position with the switch off, which, as you can see, it's in essence basically a number 3. Okay, and then they have the position with the switch on. Okay, and that switch on, you might think to yourself, hold on, let me just take away quickly and just put both of them together so you guys can see. You look at it and you say to yourself, but Tony, but there isn't much of a difference there. Is it really that justified, this difference that you see here from, let's say, 3.5K up? Trust me, it is. The difference between you listening to the crown like this with the switch on and off is it loses that extra cleanliness up top that just opens up the sound completely and makes it sound like a number 3. You listen with the switch off, it sounds just like a number 3. Okay, with the switch on, you look at it and you think, oh, but there isn't much of a difference here between them. Why you say that? Because it sounds different. Trust me. And I'm using the same tips on one and the other. The insertion depth is basically the same. They sound different. The crown sounds significantly more open in the sound. Okay, comparing the crown with the high-end Max, the similarities are quite significant. But yes, you will notice in specific songs. I mean, like I mentioned earlier while I was doing the review, Steely Dan is one of the songs that you do notice. You do notice just a little bit more, let's say, energy and impact and impactfulness in the way that the drum strikes are done and the guitar comes across, which just makes it sound more realistic. Okay, now, is the difference so significant that I will tell you guys, oh no, you must sell now your crown and go fit? No, I'm not going to tell you that. I mean, nothing that a little bit of EQing can't resolve. That's basically it. But that the high-end Max is an improvement over the crown, yes, it is. That I'm not going to deny. St. James Infirmary is another song that, yes, you do definitely see that The high-end max is just that little extra amount cleaner, that extra amount more detailed, and then does confer that song that more realistic. That it's just more. There's more realism to that presentation, especially the version that I have. Anyway, these are the TFZ models. Now, just quickly, so I'm not going to also bug you too much. Compare here with the FD15. That's the FD15. I've normalized it at 1K. The thing here that you must keep in mind, obviously, here is the FD15's got a bigger driver in terms of the DD driver, so the bass difference is not what you hear now. No, but it's the important thing here is for you to see the balance. You see the balance that's struck between 100 hertz and then the top end of the FD15. It's the same sort of balance overall that's struck on the high-end max. Okay, it is. Don't forget, this peak does not exist. I didn't perceive it. So the balance that is struck between the two extremes is almost from 100 down, it's basically flat, just with a slight roll off. And then from 2.5 up, if that there is non-existent, it's kind of almost flat, almost neutral. When you take the FD15 and you do the same thing, you have it kind of flattish with a very minor roll off. And again, the same thing, very flattish with a kind of a very slight roll off. FD15 is a beast of an IM when it comes to how it sounds. Incredible, honestly, incredible. Congratulations to Fire. That's as simple as that. However, when I compare it to the high-end max, there is enough for me to say one and the other are more of a side grade to each other than necessarily one being superior to the other. So the FD15, okay, the price difference is significant. Okay, I'm not going to deny that. But the FD15 will maybe not be as satisfying in the high end for some people as the high-end max is. Okay, for me, yes, I do notice there's a difference. Okay, and the balance that is struck in either one of them is good, but I am inclined to think that people will find the high-end max a little extra more detailed and a little bit more capable in the upper registers, especially that upper mids and treble, to then confer an overall sound that will work very well with specific genres, okay? Making it maybe just perhaps a little bit more versatile than the FD15. So that's the FD15 there. Now, let's get here. Where are we? Yes, here are we. The format. Okay, this is the EA 1000 format. I think the graph is self-explanatory. Very, very, very similar. If you notice here, again, assume that this peak is non-existent, okay? And the truth is, you listen to one and you listen to the other, they sound very similar. The area where the EA 1000 format edges out the high-end max is it's got a more noticeable soundstage. It's bigger. There's more sensation of space. Okay, it's not even in the bass that there's a difference, and it's got the assistance of that passive driver. Okay, now Tenstum oxygen. Tenstum oxygen. Yeah, here we go. Tenstum oxygen. Let me just change the color, make it red so you guys can see it better. Tenstum oxygen. There we go. Tenstum oxygen. Let me just take away here quickly the high-end max for you guys to see. Tenstum oxygen with the format that I have. They're the same, guys. They graph the same. Do they sound absolutely the same? No, you can see differences. What I said about the EA 1000, okay, I apply to now this comparison with the Silver Angel, the high-end max. The high-end max definitely has got a little bit more mid-bass kind of presentation, a more incisive drum strike than the oxygen. But you know, it's one is not better than the other. They are two products with a very well-defined reason for being. Okay. As for the origin, which is this one, yeah, exactly. Let me just change the color of it as well so it stands out, so you guys can see it better. Let me make it red once again. The origin there. Again, a flawless kind of flawless comparison between 100 hertz and where it corresponds. Neutral, kind of slightly rolled off bass, very much like the high-end Max. And then the performance up top here as well, again, very nicely done with just that little extra amount of space, of width in the soundstage, that the high-end Max it's just slightly behind. It's not a huge difference. You have to really choose your songs carefully, but you will definitely notice it. If you choose the right song, you will pick up on it. And that's that. I think I haven't missed anything out. No, exactly. I've talked about all of them. Guys, like I said, this is a really good IM. I hope the rest that I will receive, as I've got a few coming my way, will be as impressive. Obviously, when your first experience is one that is so good, now my kind of reference point is the high-end Max. So I hope the others will not disappoint me. I've got 2 dual driver versions coming my way. They should be here this coming week, and then I want to try and see if I can get my hands on the single DD, the cheaper versions. The truth is this: if this is the evolution of TFC, my congratulations. The brand name has been nicely selected. The whole presentation, the whole aesthetic presentation is again very nicely done. It's now a question of them now getting out to you guys and you people listening to them and seeing if this is the type of sound that you like. That's at the end of the day, it's as simple as that. Obviously, I'm sure that their cheaper models, if they are equally good performers, they will probably be the ones that most people will be obtaining. They will be the bread and butter, while these more high-end models, of course, will not be as popular. Not that they're not good, but obviously because of the pricing. All right. Anyway, guys, as always, like and subscribe. If there's any questions you want to ask me or anything of the sort, please let me know, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. All right. You take care now. Bye-bye.